I'm a big fan of cakes, and the thing that makes cakes light and fluffy is a piece of wonderful chemistry. It's all down to this stuff, baking powder. Now, baking powder has a couple of ingredients listed on the back, but the most important as far as cake fluffiness is concerned is sodium hydrogen carbonate, which is the sort of the fancy chemical name for this stuff, bicarbonate of soda, which you can also buy in any good supermarket. Now, every school child can tell you that if you take bicarbonate of soda, sodium bicarb, whatever you want to call it, and you add just vinegar, malt vinegar, it froths up like that. Because what's happening is all of that sodium hydrogen carbonate is breaking down. It's turning into water and carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide is what's making it froth up. And it's that froth, those carbon dioxide bubbles, that give cake its fluffiness. Now, the thing is though, you add this in the baking powder, but you don't add vinegar, because obviously that'll make your cake taste foul. What you add is you add a powdered acid, and it's actually the first ingredient. It's called disodium diphosphate. And when that dissolves in water, it creates slightly acidic conditions, which then makes the sodium hydrogen carbonate, the bicarb, break down. So if you take just some baking powder, like this, and you add just ordinary water to it, get it dissolved, it froths a little bit more slowly because the acid isn't quite so violent, but it froths up. You can see it starting to froth up nicely there. Now, there is another trick to baking powder though. It's not just this process that starts as soon as you add the egg to your batter. There's also something called thermal decomposition, because normally what happens in baking powder is there's an excess of sodium hydrogen carbonate. There's more hydrogen carbonate than will be broken down by the acid. But if you have hot liquid, or hot anything in fact, that you add the bicarb to, it will spontaneously break down and release the carbon dioxide. And quite often that's what's going on inside a cake as well, because that excess carbon dioxide is being released when the batter gets to 50 degrees. Let's see how we're doing. Get the water hot. Okay, that's now over 50 degrees. So, with my glove, I'm gonna take the thermometer out, take some bicarb, and drop it straight into the water. And even though this is just water, there's no acid, the bicarb immediately starts to froth up. It's not as violent, but it is going. And this is crucial to making frothy, light, fluffy cakes, because what happens immediately after you get to 50 degrees, you get to 60 degrees, and it's at that point that the egg starts to solidify, and that traps the bubbles. So it gives your cake a last little bit of froth to fluffify the cake before it sets and turns into yum cake. Of course, the full story is in my book, The Science of Everyday Life. Look, it's got my name on it. And on page 17, there's a whole chapter about fluffy cake. Fluffiness, fluffiosity, flufficism. Yeah,